reaction is going to be. And that's the thing that's holding him back. Otherwise, he would have been far more sort of forward about it. But what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. So let's move to the next question. Yes, ma'am.
I just read an interview that you'd done recently where you sort of intimated that at the end of the book, they might stay together.
Yes.
They're still young men. And when I first saw the movie, I came out and I just said to my friend, that is the forever love. And she said, oh, no, it's just a summer fling. I said, oh, no. And then I got the book and read it, and I said, ah, ha, ha. I knew. So I guess my question is, do we get to stay together? And what happens to Oliver's marriage?
Well, you know, can I tell you, it's up to you.
Stay together.
I couldn't decide. I mean, if you notice, if the verb moods, because they're called moods, by the way, the verb mood that I use at the very end of the book, and I do it in all my books almost, is I use the conditional mood. It's not the present tense, it's not the past tense, it's the conditional, it's not even the future. In other words, I would, he would, I might, I would. In other words, it's all very ambiguous so that you don't know if in fact Oliver is leaving the next day, as Elius suspects he might, then we'll tell him, call me by your name when he gets the last word he says to him as he gets into the cab. Or is this just his imagination going wild and thinking to himself, well, he's going to leave soon, I better prepare myself. All I want is for him to remember that we had this idyllic summer together 20 years ago. But I don't know, he might have come to stay. I have no idea what they said to each other by email before Oliver arrived. So it's up in the air. I don't know. Lots of people want to know. I happen not to know because I stopped writing the book at that point.
If it's up to me,
it is
they stay.
As you can tell, he's not crazy about his wife anyway, and his kids are really boorish. Plus, they're in college already, so it doesn't matter. Yes, sir.
Actually, going off the first question, I was really interested in this idea of the characters living on in your head afterwards. And so I guess going off of that, can you tell us anything about the proposed film sequel and your involvement with it?
I can tell you this, and I'm not being sort of concealing anything from you. We had a conversation, and the conversation happened about a year ago, and it was resurrected a few months ago, about how to go about a sequel. What are the possible plot lines? I told Luca that the one thing I was afraid of is it would be sort of son of Call Me By Your Name. Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to see, or like a Rocky 6 or 7. Call Me By Your Name. I mean, because that is really not the kind of story, and it might be, it might actually become gawky and awkward and maybe even the danger of becoming silly. In other words, in an attempt to be up to date, it might actually lose its lyricism and its compelling, what is it, the enchantment that is always sort of vibrating through the pages, I would like to think. Because I was enchanted when I was writing it. I was in love. There's no question I was in love with them, with their love, with each one of them, with their parents, with the father, with the mother, with, you name it, even the cook. I ended up, but basically, there is talk of a sequel, and you probably read about it online. And but we haven't done anything, and it's going to be quite a while before we do anything. And I don't know. I've moved on, to be honest. I'm writing other things, and yet, funnily enough, I'm writing a story about an older man who meets a young man who happens to be a very good piano player who lives in anyway, so that's what I was writing, but I wasn't thinking of this as a sequel. But if they want a sequel, we'll make it. I don't. Yes.
I just first want to say thank you for the story. It touched me and really profoundly. I actually decided to come out of the closet for the story. And question for you is there's a scene where Professor Perlman's talking to Elliot, and he quotes a line in French where he says, because it was him, because it was me. And I was curious if you could tell us the meaning of that.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's a very famous essay that Montaigne wrote. It's essay, I think that it's called On Friendship. And it's essay number 26, which is right in the middle of the first book of the essay. So Montaigne was a very strategic writer. Nothing was done by accident. And he was writing about his friend who had just died, who had written a book called On Voluntary Servitude. And they were both very, very close friends. And sometimes he asked himself, why was I such a good friend of his? Why did we love each other? And the answer, he says, I don't know why. The only answer I can give you is because it was him and because it was me. And I love that sentence. I mean, it contains everything. I mean, it is a form of Call Me By Your Name, by the way. It is sort of the seed of it. And of course, we don't know what kind of relationship Montaigne had with Etienne de la Boétie, because we don't know. But possibly it must have been physical as well, I'm sure, because Montaigne was not a man to shy away from anything. The other line that I loved, which I also incorporated in the same pages, is the one that, what is her name, Catherine Earnshaw. How many of you have read Wuthering Heights? Okay, well, Catherine Earnshaw says about Heathcliff, who's a horrible human being, cruel to everybody, but crazily in love with her, to the point where she said, he was more me than I am myself. And those were very powerful words. When I read them the first time, I said, gee, I wish I could feel like this. And so that those two lines, because it was him, because it was I, and he was more me than I am myself. These are powerful moments of utter intimacy between human beings who may not actually be able to even live together, because it's so powerful. And in the case of Catherine Earnshaw and Heathcliff, they almost are at the point of killing each other. But there is that intimacy that is so powerful. And I think the whole book, Call Me By Your Name, is about the possibility of intimacy existing on all levels, physical, emotional, intellectual, everything. And I mean, the reason why I had the bathroom scene, if you forgive me, I mean, there was a reason for that. Not because I happen to like that sort of thing. It took you guys a while, okay? It is because I wanted to make the point that, and I have a vomit scene too, okay? I wanted to show that basically whenever the body performs its functions, whatever the function is, if you can do it in the presence of the person you love and who loves you, that's it. That's intimacy. That's total intimacy. And what is better than that? The converse of that, as I like to make fun of it all the time, is the happily together couple that does laundry on Sundays and folds the towels on Sunday afternoon before watching the news. Okay, that is the converse. That is called domesticity. This is the big danger. That's why intimacy can exist, but it's also destructive because it eats through everything. But it's up to us to see how we want to live the rest of our lives. But I'm glad that it helped you to come out, because, and I hope it was a pleasant moment.
It was changed my life. So.
Excellent. So congratulations. I'm very happy. Yes, sure.
Going off the bathroom scene, it made me reread Rabelais and Pantagruel, especially like the perversity, the grotesquerie of bodies.
Right.
And I thought that was really lovely. It was like reinvigorated the idea that perversity is normal and something that you can enjoy and with other people. The question I have is that in the book, you get a sense of Elio's coping mechanisms, like how to make chaos or order out of the chaos of his emotions, like the underwear, the swimming suit coding system.
Right.
But because Oliver's sort of a distanced character, is there a coping mechanism he has in the book that I didn't pick up on?
Oliver?
Yeah.
No, you don't know Oliver.
Sure.
And the reason why I'm so transfixed by people like Oliver, I've always been attracted to people who have that kind of energy. Is because I'm exactly the opposite. So I don't understand these people. I don't understand how they live with themselves. I don't know what they think about. I have no idea. I don't know what, when they're by themselves staring at their faces in the mirror and nobody's looking, who are they? You know, I don't know. I have no idea. I know who who, I mean, nobody knows what Elio is because he's so sort of profound. But Oliver could be superficial. We don't know. But I don't think he is. Not in this film. Not in this. The film does not make him superficial. I make him a bit superficial because I wanted him to be. Yes, miss. I'm sorry. You're next. Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to ask about a character that I feel like it's strangely overlooked, which is Bimini. And she wasn't in the film, and I definitely don't necessarily think that was a bad thing at all, but I found her really interesting in the book and kind of how, I wanted to hear your thoughts a little bit about the purpose of her character and kind of how her relationship with Oliver kind of gives us more insight to that.
Well, I loved her. I mean, I really loved her too. The reason why I didn't have a reason for her to be in the book, but eventually I did find a reason. She is basically a girl who knows she's dying, so she's very smart and very intelligent and almost sort of ruthless in her ability to cut and to be so incisive about truth. And she finds that Oliver is the best friend. In other words, Oliver finds something about her that he likes a great deal, and they corresponded for years together. It's as if the superficial character that I had of Oliver suddenly sort of is totally mollified and softened into a person who can be the best friend that Vimini is ever going to have. But there's another reason why I wanted her in the book, and eventually it sort of materialized to me, is that she is a way of marking time, of bringing out I think that time is in everything I do, time is the ultimate villain of everything. It's the worst thing. It's destructive. And the fact that she dies, that Anchize died, who cares about Anchize, the gardener, okay? The peach grower, okay? Who cares about him? And the fact that he's died, that Vimini died, that the father died, all these are markers that time has happened to all these characters. And that time, as I like to say, that time happens to you, and it happens to Elio, and it happens to Oliver. And they're lucky not to feel it that much when they're together, either in the bar after college class or when Oliver comes to visit. But that was the reason that it came up. I mean, I didn't think she was going to die, but then I decided if she dies, then that really sort of magnifies the tragedy of what is happening. And there is an implicit tragedy behind this whole thing. You had a question.
Yeah, I actually have two questions. The first is, did you always know that you wanted to be a writer? And my second question is, did you have any say in who was casted in the movie?
I didn't have a say in who was being cast. In fact, they told me Timothée Chalamet was the actor. I said, who? And then, of course, they said, well, he was in Homeland. I said, well, he was a horrible character in Homeland. And he's a great actor, and he's a fantastic human being. He's really an amazing person. And then they said, Armie Hammer. I said, the guy from The Social Network? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay, fine. And, but I'm a negative person, as you don't know by now. And I'll tell you another story in a moment. But basically, and Armie turned out to be an amazing human being as well. And together they're wonderful friends. I mean, you can see that they may not be lovers, but they are fantastic friends. And they're all amazing, and I'm so happy with the choice. I would never have a say in who gets cast. And even the father is an amazing actor. That scene, he should have been nominated too.